Good morning, and thank you for joining our Quick Bite, DESS Deeply Rooted, the value of one system for your restorative implant parts. My name is Madeline Holzer, Education Event Specialist here at Zahn, and I'm happy to present Daniel Alter, Professor of Restorative Dentistry and Executive Editor of IDT, and Michael Reina, Senior Director of Business Initiatives at Zahn Dental. Please keep in mind that we will have time at the end of our Quick Bite for Q&A, so type your questions in the chat and we'll be happy to address them. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hello, everybody. Madeline, thank you so much. Daniel, how are you?
I'm doing well, Michael. Thank you. How are you?
Good, good. To all the attendees, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are tuning in from. Special thank you to Madeline and her team and Katie, our marketing department, for doing everything to get this together and make it happen. Really, really appreciate it. For me, I am super excited to be here. My history in implants goes back to 2005, and I remember like it was yesterday, actually, walking into a laboratory on Long Island. I had a suit on, and I was trying to figure out what an implant was, and in walked Daniel. Daniel's lab was there, and he said to me, "Listen, I'll take you under my wing. I'll teach you. I'll show you the ropes." He said, "The only thing is when you come back tomorrow, don't wear a suit. Wear jeans and a t-shirt because you're going to get messy." So it is an absolute privilege, my friend. It really just a true honor to be on the screen with you. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael, and certainly make us all proud. And you know, the work that you're doing is absolutely tremendous. So thank you.
Well, thanks. You know, and again, I hope everyone's staying really safe during these COVID times. Though, you know, if you could try and take anything out of it, the one good thing for me this year has obviously been working closely with good friends like yourself and others in the industry. So thank you, and I'm really looking forward to it. So why don't we jump in? And thanks again to everybody on the line. So the DESS implant solution. You know, where did we arrive on it, and how did we make it a part of the Zahn family in the group? So throughout 2020, we were really looking for a way to add to our implant parts and components and figure out ways in which we could help your laboratory thrive. And I'm really, really proud to kind of officially launch here the DESS implant line. Very excited. It's a family-owned operation based out of Barcelona. Tons and tons of research and development have gone into these products. In fact, the cool point that really impressed me the most about this company is that they reinvest 10% of their revenue back into R&D. So really kind of impressed me the most about, you know, not only where the company is, but where the company is going. And I think that's critical for your laboratories that are out there. The other thing is this pure switch concept. You know, everyone's going to say, well, what does that mean? It really makes it as seamless as possible for these products to fit and make them fit as good, if not better, than the OEM products. Same footprint in the original screwdrivers, identical seat angle, diameter, length, really no compromise to fit or quality. And, you know, everybody understands that we at Zahn, you know, we take that seriously because we look at ourselves as an extension of you. The other thing is the warranty, which we'll get into later on, and they're just such an incredible group of folks to deal with. And I'm privileged to be able to carry this product line.
Awesome. So thank you, Michael, and thank you for, you know, I just want to share with everybody also my excitement for this line, not only to be working with Michael, working with Zahn, but the folks, as Michael said, at DESS are absolutely, it's a family owned and really have thought everything out in a big way, and we'll discuss some of these things certainly during this presentation. There is also an opportunity in the very near future on February 18th where we're going to have a panel discussion webinar, which I encourage every one of you to join us, where we're going to have Hans from DESS in Barcelona joining us and talking about the actual product, as well as Josh Murata from Murata Dental and Milos Markovits from Aurora, Milling Center. So there's going to be a lot of information, a lot of different vantage points and perspectives. That the point of all these, not only the quick bite, but also the webinar with the panel discussion, is to elevate your knowledge so that you then can be able to transfer that to your bottom line and increase not only the reward, but also your professional reward for it in a way. So I hope you will join us. It's certainly going to be exciting and thought-provoking type of webinar, and we're really going to dive in to the different opportunities and options that are available. So with that said, one of the things that really, when I looked at DESS and the DESS package and portfolio, one thing that really jumped at me is that this is really a wonderful addition to any kind of laboratory, whether you're digital or conventional or a kind of a combination of both. It doesn't dictate one workflow over the other. The point is that you are the laboratory, you have the dental intelligence, you have the experience and the knowledge to run your laboratory and to be able to provide your clinician with what they've come to expect from your laboratory, the quality, the service, and so on. So the ability of utilizing a portfolio that not only attaches itself to so many different platforms that are all common in our industry, but now you have a one source, a one way of being able to create that synergy, but yet it doesn't dictate which way you have to go. It's completely up to you. They have so many options that we'll get into, and so many benefits that are greater than what perhaps some of the other opportunities out there. But the thing is that with the workflow is whether you're conventional, where a dentist takes an impression, you create a model, a working model, then you wax it up, and then you do zirconia, whatever have you, and then delivery, or if you're digital with an intraoral scanning, which there's very clever solutions that DESS provides that I'll show you in a second, as well as CAD design, milling. But what happens if you're in the middle? What happens if your clinician are more comfortable with the conventional rather than the digital? So now you're in a position to be able to fulfill any kind of workflow, whether it's conventional, whether it's digital, whether it's something in between, to align not only with your laboratory, but also your clinician, to be able to provide them with the highest level of quality every single time. And I'm going to highlight some of the things that I found to be really, really great. And, and this is a half an hour presentation, but to go through the whole portfolio, which is why I hope you're going to join us in the fuller webinar on the 18th at 2 p.m. Eastern time, we'll really dive into the individual components. So what I've done here is I've highlighted some of the things that were the aha moments that really provided like some foolproof and really interesting solutions for laboratories as well as clinical and for patients. But lab analogs. Lab analogs is one of those that is a necessary for what we need in order to fabricate in a laboratory. But this is a source by which laboratories don't have the ability of always charging for. It's something that you charge for the restorative end, but the laboratory components or the laboratory analogs is something that perhaps it's within the cost of the restoration, and even if you reuse them, you may stretch out. But DESS has a great line of lab analogs. They're exactly the same, color coordinated the way it is with the OEM, so you're comfortable with that. You know everything, and it doesn't require any kind of changing in your workflow. It requires an adaptation of utilizing the DESS portfolio, which is honestly it's better than some. It has a durable stainless steel titanium rather, to give you that flexibility and the ability of using it over and over again, as well as color coded. So it's the same as the branded products that you have. So it doesn't create any confusion in the laboratory, utilizing the wrong components or the wrong parts. It doesn't require a big transition as far as education for your laboratory personnel, because it's exactly the same as the branded product. So whatever they're accustomed to using, whether they grab the gold cylinder or the gold lab analog or the green lab analog, it's identical to what was before, as well as the guaranteed fit. It will fit. And Michael and myself will talk about how the opportunities are there moving forward, and whether it's the warranty or the quality control that you'll see. But that's something that we can say confidently that they can guarantee that it will fit, as well as the self-locking. And this is, with 3D which is digital, or stone, this is a nice component where now these laboratory analogs can be used for both conventional and digital. But DESS is coming up very soon with a new 3D printed model analogs. And this is something that the industry or the market has been asking for a very, very long time, because how do we 3D print and then yet have the lab analogs in the same position, orientation, and angulation that the actual implant fixtures are in the mouth? With digital, it was difficult at times. Certainly with lab analogs, we figured it out over the years, but with digital, and how does it lock in? So DESS is coming soon with a very clever and unique way to be able to produce that lab analog, or rather engage in that lab analog in such a concise way. And it actually has a screw on the bottom that will allow you to fix that into the model, but also retrieve it as needed for subsequent cases, which is a win for all. As I said, lab analogs are not a money generating or revenue generating proposition for laboratories, and oftentimes it's a losing proposition. And here's a way for you to engage and recapture that cost in order to reuse it. And certainly with 3D printed models, it's a no-brainer. So really exciting stuff. Now, this is also, the scan flags is a opportunity to engage also with the dentist, as well as they have a very clever scan flags that can be used for tie bases, which I'll share in a second. So certainly they have very similar, intraoral scan flags for anybody that is on the digital side that is using either the Trios or any of the other popular, whether it's Medit or whatever have you. So not much has to change. Similarly, they have a desktop peak laser marked. So if you're using a tabletop scan, you can certainly go right into the implant fixture. And this is something that I absolutely love. And within their libraries, oftentimes we get sometimes impressions, or whether it's digital impressions or actual conventional impressions, and with the tie base already sometimes even placed in for the dentist already decided which kind of tie base, or you can go directly from the tie base. So you have a scan flag, as you see here, that fits over the tie bases, and now you can orient that into the digital or the CAD solution. So whether it's ExoCAD or whether it's 3Shape, there's libraries that will align, and all you need to do is align that, and you then get an exact fixture of where it is, not only orientation, location, but also angulation with this very unique peak kind of scan flag. So as you can see, and as we go through this presentation, there are so many things that were provided as a solution from DESS. DESS is really listening to the market, and I can certainly attest to it because I've had several conversations with them, and I was on one yesterday with other laboratory owners where any kind of suggestion, any kind of comment, their answer is always, it's coming, we'll do it. We're listening and we'll do it. And this is a perfect example of some of the issues that, perhaps could be alleviated. So solutions, as you can see here, are so thought out that not only are they providing in the portfolio the solutions that we're already accustomed to, which are the intraoral scans as well as the tabletop scan, but they came up with a solution for tie bases specifically that you can still scan it. You can still bring it into the digital world. And obviously, as you know from experience, when you have a tie base, what are some of the options that we can do? We can certainly do a fixed crown and bridge type, and then we have to align within the tie base where the margin is. And quite frankly, the fit is never quite the same or the way it should be intimately. Now with this kind of scan flag, it really provides a solution where the tie base behaves as though it's the scan flag, and that orients it within the digital software and digital means. So it's really clever, and I'm excited about it because it provides, again, a solution for what the market has been asking for, and they listened and they did it. And they continue to innovate and continue to bring products that the market, to make things easier and better or more precise for your laboratory, for your customers, ultimately for the patient, a better product in a sort. So this is another thing, again, a highlight that have really brought about. And one of the things is that DESS has a patented solution on this, what's called a select grip. It has as you can see here from the surface, it had a coating that improves retention on the tie bases by 5 times of what the conventional tie bases provide and what the branded provide. So you can still utilize the same brands that dentists have grown to expect, but now you're providing a tie base that has a higher level of bondability that is 5 times, and this has been tested, and certainly we can provide the results for that. But it just provides such a great amount of what the tie base compared to what the straight abutment is. So having the assurance that the bondability of your zirconia restoration or the bondability of any kind of restorative prosthetic makes it 5 times greater. So you can rest assured at night and sleep well that it's not going to debond by hopefully 5 times as much. It's also factory applied. So therefore, it's not something that's done in the laboratory. It's not something that you need to coat with. This comes from the factory in that way that it's, you know, that any of the critical areas that affect the fit are untouched, as well as it saves processing time. It's also a shorter basal titanium of 3 millimeters, which provides a you know, a shorter chimney, but the actual zirconia, if you're putting on top of it, or certainly titanium or anything like that, but zirconia in itself is very strong. So the challenge was with the chimney and making it very long, or 6 millimeters, which is still provided by DESS, but you can also get a 3 millimeter because the bonding strength is that strong that the zirconia in and of itself provides a greater level of retention. So, but by having a shorter stack, you can also, it doesn't compromise the shade. It doesn't compromise the translucency. You can provide a really, really great aesthetic results. Another thing that I absolutely, they have a screwdriver that provides a, not only the select grip 5 times better, but it also provides a 25% angulation 360 degrees around. So it's, and that's with the screw. So it's the same screw as any of the branded. However, it has this additional angular freedom that DESS provides, which allows you to access that exact screw from 25 degrees, 360 degrees around. So whether it's on the cingulum, whether it's a access hole, whether it's something that you want to pivot, which I'll show you in a second, it provides you with an opportunity to once again angulate it. And you know, you can angulate 25%, 30%, whatever the case may be, but you can still access it. And it's also a shorter shaft to increase translucency and aesthetics, as I said. The zirconia is very strong, as you see here. Certainly once you cement the entire, not only does it then carry the strength of the zirconia, but with 5 times bondability, it really becomes almost, you know, as though it's just, it's one piece together. So the benefit of that is that you're not worried about it debonding. You're not worried about it potentially coming apart. Because not only the zirconia, it has the support and the strength, but now with the extra binder on it provides 5 times the amount of bonding strength, or and that then gives for a you know, availability of a 3 millimeter shaft rather than something greater. Because you're not worried about the support. You're not worried about making sure, you know, and you can feel confident, and I certainly do, you can feel confident that it will bond strongly, and therefore you don't need to be concerned with, you know, it blocking any kind of translucency or compromising any type of aesthetic. So it's really, especially on the cingulum and centrals, and if they're coming out in some odd kind of space or angulation, you can accommodate for that. So here's a perfect example of how that comes into effect in the laboratory. So you receive a case similar to here, you scan it, everything looks fine, you go ahead and you design your full contour zirconia, still everything looks fine, and all of a sudden, once you're finished with it, where's the access hole coming out of? Now that becomes a challenge. Like, what do I do? Oh man, the access hole comes right on the buccal cusp, and you can't layer on top of it. You can't do anything, and now it completely compromised the aesthetic outcome of this type of restoration. So what do? Do you call the doctor? You know, which is not a possibility because they're not going to replace it. So now you have to sit there and you have to figure out, do I want to do a cement retained? So now that requires you to upcharge the dentist because you have to do a custom abutment and then a crown on top of it just to remedy the angulation or the holes. And you can see here that the degree that is needed is probably about 20 degrees in order to get it right into the central fossa. Now, not only is it aesthetically compromising, but it also compromises the actual case and the longevity of it. So by removing, or rather angulating the access hole by about 20 degrees, it brings you to a place where it's going to be, you know, better aesthetically, and it also gives you greater thickness here where it's not going to compromise the zirconia. It's not going to compromise the actual case. And you can see here that the 20-degree angulation is robust. You know, it's certainly better than coming out through the buccal access hole. And you know, once you do that, and in 3Shape, it's very simple by just clicking in the angled screw hole and then just changing it. You can physically change it and bring it to exactly where you want to. Now, could you have stretched this out to 25 degrees? Perhaps. It all depends on how long of the chimney or the access hole is. And remember, you can attain with the screw, with the DESS screw, to 25-degree angulation. But also, if the access hole is very long, that limits the amount of engagement that you can do. The end result provides a really, really aesthetic outcome. And again, you can see here that the access hole is in its appropriate place. It's been layered with porcelain, and no longer is it compromising where otherwise it would have been here and you would have been missing the buccal cusp, which obviously is not an option, and it's not a solution that any dentist would accept. As far as CAD/CAM products, we again spoke of the lab analogs as well as the scan flags, a very clever design, a very clever, innovative product. And then it gives you the whole assortment. So, and another thing I'm going to touch upon is the multi-unit angulation, which they've really come. But all of these things, and what I want to mention, comes with you can attain a screw that allows you to engage up to 25 degrees all around. So whether it's a multi-unit, whether it's a tie base, or whether it's any of the portfolio, these screws are the same exact screw engagement as the branded, but allows you to have that extra cushioning or extra support by being able to angulate up to 25 degrees and still be able to engage and access the screw. So as far as multi-units, again, it's the same as the branded, but it's the same prosthetic platform as all the popular brands. So if you're custom, if your laboratory is a custom and your dentists are accustomed to a certain brand, the idea is that you can still fulfill their restorative needs with the DESS with added benefits that perhaps the branded don't have, which is great. It provides a screw head, which allows for more material because again, it's shorter and more strength. It's fully shaped connection geometry. So when you look at it at this screw, it has plenty of different types of geometric shapes, and that's really to be able to provide that angulation and provide the ability of engaging in that screw. So certainly there's fully shaped connection as well as 17 and 30 degree angulation, very similar to what the branded. You also have, which other kind of third party don't have, which is the gingival heights. DESS provides multiple gingival heights that you can then accommodate your all-on-X type of restorations, whether you want them, if you want to elevate them if they're a little bit submucosa, but you can do that in different heights as well. So it provides a really great solution. And here's a perfect example of designing a larger case similar to what you see here, but utilizing the tie bases of the multi-unit abutments in order to correct any of the angulation. You can see here that the angulation are rather severe, but we can correct that and still have a passively fitting restoration that then in turn protects the implant from having any kind of unintended consequences. Now, one thing really quickly, and I realize that the time is running, but something to take notice of, oftentimes we're talking about access holes and how it affects the aesthetics, but it could absolutely affect the actual restoration, because imagine you can see here where the access hole would have ended up right in between the lateral and the central, which would then compromise this embrasure and potentially break it. So by moving the access hole a mere 10 degrees or whatever it is, to where now it's in the center of the long axis of the tooth, it therefore provides you with a stronger restoration, and you can again confidently sleep well at night, not worrying about cases like this that are going to break and come back and then affect your reputation. So what's in everybody's mind? Do they really fit? Do they avoid my warranty? And we'll certainly talk about that. Is it the same as the quality of the screw? It's all about the geometry, and the abutment connection is the geometry of the precision machining. So it's beyond the biology. It's now about machining. It's the same. DESS uses in Spain the same technology and production methods of all the branded that we use here today. So they actually use the same design programs, the same machines. And DESS actually even manufactures for some of those implant companies as well. It's a very robust family-owned company that really thinks things through and are in this space in a big way. The tolerances, and this is something that is really remarkable because they're constantly checking to make sure that the tolerances are appropriate and correct and validating it. And they have actual machines that are able to validate this on a regular, including their milling machines that will tell if something is out of sort or out of and that they can then adjust in order to ensure that you have the best quality for your laboratory and you're providing that for your dentist. As far as regulatory aspects, certainly DESS has the entire manufacturing process. They are CE in Europe, which is among the more rigid kind of regulatory bodies that certainly translate to Canada in health, and they are FDA certified and compliant. So you can certainly trust, because if the medical professionals in the FDA and in Canada approve this as not only a certified but also regulatory approved, you know that it's all in the up and up, and the materials as well as the processes are all wonderful. And I'll send it back to Michael now.
Thank you, Daniel. That was great. Again, so much information. Really excited about the launch. And I think, as we begin to wrap up, you've touched on it, but high level, the best part for you as a laboratory owner is you have nothing to worry about when it comes to fit and quality. And to take it one level up, if by chance something does come up in a clinical perspective, they have your back there as well, and we have your back there as well. So we have a lifetime warranty on all DESS components. And then if in fact, again, we know the success rate in implants is extremely high, but if an implant fails, you will get refunded for the cost of that implant. So this is unique. Some companies, they'll supply an implant, no matter what interface it is, we will go ahead and pay for that implant that was used. You just have to submit the proper documentation. So if we move on one more. This is really just to show you, again, we have a catalog ready and set up for everybody here. I highly encourage you, part of this quick bite is really just to give you a little bit of a quick snapshot on what we have going on. Reach out to our key account management team, reach out to our telesales reps. My number will be available, and I really want to spend the time with each and every one of you so that you feel comfortable with the product and you're ready to utilize it in your dental laboratory. So thank you.
Thank you. And again, it's an honor and I'm humbled and a pleasure to be working with Michael on this. And certainly, I have to say, DESS has really, the portfolio and the people behind it have absolutely blown me away. And I apologize for having to speak so fast because there's so many wonderful, parts of this portfolio that I really hope you join us on February 18th at 2 o'clock Eastern time, where we can really dive in a lot deeper and with actual users, myself included, and the folks at DESS. So I hope you join us all.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe we can open it up for some questions. That'd be great.
Fantastic. Thank you both. Yeah, we do have a couple of minutes. We'll get to a few quick questions. Will you be carrying the complete DESS line?
So great question. We will. The only interface that we will not be carrying is the Camlog interface. But other than that, we will have the full componentry offered from DESS.
Okay. Thank you, Michael. And is the DESS system for digital processing only, or are there analog components that I can use?
So that's a great question, and that's, if you recall, allows you to do not only digital. Certainly, it has a robust library for all the branded and all the components that DESS has to offer. But similarly, it also has it for conventional. But the beauty is that it allows you also to toggle or decide where it is that whether some cases require conventional, some cases can be processed and should be processed digitally, or a combination of both. The main thrust of this is that you and your laboratory are the ones in control of how you're going to be manufacturing to attain that best quality assurance for your doctors and their patients, which are ultimately our patients as well.
Thank you, Daniel. We did have a quick question regarding CDT credits, and yes, we do offer 0.5 scientific for this course, and we will be providing those credits to those who registered with their CDT number. I want to thank you both again for all of the information and encourage you all to please do join us on the 18th for our exciting panel discussion on DESS. It will be a webinar not to miss. So thank you all for joining us, and everyone have a wonderful day.
Thank you.